All right, chat. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Is this thing on? Are we getting audio, perhaps? Mayhaps? It's here. Hey, hello, everyone. Do we have audio? Hello, can you hear me? I hope you can hear me. Perchance? Yes, audio. Hey, sick. What is up, Mayo, Jesse, Alive, Tony? Good to see you. Cole. Many, many, many names. All right, we're here. Hello, everyone. And welcome to Blade Bias Live. This is something that I have done once before. I am hoping it goes well this time too. But this is the live format of my head-mounted videos where you guys can actually talk back live. And I'm not just talking to myself. Camera's a little fuzzy. It's going to be. This is an extremely scuffed setup for live streaming. The one thing that I can do... Nope, I can't. Unfortunately, this is how it be. So nothing I can really do to change that. Hello, everyone. Exposure's a little high. Again, extremely scuffed. Nothing I can do about that at this point. I suppose I could I stop the stream, change it, and then go back? I might try that. What's up, Nova? What's up, Arian? Is that your impulse? This is one of the impulses. Yeah, I'm just gonna stick with it. I know the exposure is a little high. Actually, what if I just turn off this light? That might fix it. It's a little dark in here for me now, but that might actually be a lot better for the camera. I do need a better way to see. Whatever. Yeah, that fixed our exposure issue a tiny bit. So my camera's looking up a little bit too high. Give me 1 second. Sorry, we're still working out the kinks here in the Blade Bias Live, but we are here. Just gonna change that there angle a tiny bit. There we go. And what I am also going to do is get chat going on my phone. So give me just 1 second. I hope you all are doing well. I hope we are chilling. I'm a moderator for this channel. Of course I am. Of course I'm a freaking moderator for this channel. That just makes sense. Alright, there we go. Now I can actually see you guys on my phone. That is pretty cool. You got probably my favorite content. Thank you, Caden. I appreciate it. Got a Vault Pro based on your videos. Hey, I hope you enjoy it. Just got into the hobby. What do you think about squid? A little bit pricey, but otherwise a good option. It is a good option. Before I really get into, I want to introduce everyone who hasn't seen any of my live streams before. I usually live stream with my face and, you know, a full setup over on my main channel, camaroEE. Yes, even though it is a smaller channel, I consider it my main channel, and I always will. These kind of serve as a way for the blade bias audience, because the blade bias audience is so much larger, to still have direct access to be able to ask me questions. But if you're looking for something like this a little more frequently and a little more low key, maybe I don't see what you're saying in the chat, or your question doesn't get specifically answered, main channel, check that out. But the goal is to try and do these a little bit more often. I can't promise that, because last time I said that, I never ended up doing this that often. We're going to see how it goes. We are going to see how it goes. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day, wonderful night, whatever it is, wherever you are, as I like to say on my main channel. But this is Blade Bias, so you guys can ask me anything within reason. Specifically, I would prefer it to be ballad song related. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, we're gonna get through this. We're gonna have some fun today. It's gonna be epic. So, what do we have going on in chat? Do you still by chance have your Sliff teas? I only have ever had one, but yes, I do still have it. Has your opinion on the Orion 1.5 changed at all since the video? No, not really. It's still a great and wonderful option for people getting into the hobby. Do you prefer the Impulse with the weights out or in? Technically, I prefer them with them out, but it becomes far less consistent. Chaplains start to suck with the weights out, so I do leave them in, even though I like the balance profile of them out a little bit more. But that's just because it's a poorly executed version of that balance, rather than it specifically being a problem with that balance point in and of itself. What's your oh man. If it comes to where nothing is really happening, you should go over the shattered concept. No, that won't be. This stream is literally just going to be me standing up and flipping. Any like reaction content like that would be on my main channel, where I actually have a setup for that. Because on my main channel streams, I can't stand up and walk around and flip. So I am not going to do that. That is not something that is going to be happening. Yeah, we want to take advantage of this specific stream format as much as possible, because standing up and walking around is not something I can do on my normal streams. Although maybe I can look into using my camera as a webcam, although I think you guys will discover fairly quickly that this thing is going to die fairly quickly. Is the behind the 8 ball the hardest trick? Not even close. No. First Blade Bias stream for me? First Blade Bias stream for a lot of people. It's been over a year since I've done it. Are clones still worth it? No. I don't think clones were ever worth it, but now more than ever, they are just not worth picking up when you can get all of these other great options like the Cheese or the Orion or the Kite AL. There's so many other things you can get that are just going to serve you so much better. What's up, Shameful? Was the double rollout the first instance of tech? In a way, I guess you could say that. Would you rather have unlimited bacon but no games, or games, unlimited games but no games? That is a fascinating question. I would just take the unlimited bacon, because I don't have games in either way of those. Either way in that question. Should I buy hardware and tumble and release the Hex Handle Protos from last year? Sure. Are you going to be at Blade West? No. Unfortunately, I will be putting my travel money into traveling down to Georgia to visit with Brandon and the rest of the gang down there at the end of September. So, actually, this is the perfect place to announce this. Blade Bias podcast, unfortunately, will be missed out on for the month of August. Normally, we would have one around this time for August. That will sadly not be the case. We will be hopefully putting all of that time into a little bit more of a special episode of the Blade Bias podcast, which I won't say anything more about, but look forward to that. What do you listen to music when you flip by yourself? All the time, yeah. I have a specific playlist that's full of a bit more hype or, I guess, inspiring songs. The kind of songs that you work out to that kind of that hype you up. And I will play that. It's not like specifically a flipping playlist. It's just more of a happy, high energy song playlist. But I call it flipping because I will play it when I'm flipping. Just ordered the purple cheese. How durable actually is the Teflon? Is it meant to be for public, usually over concrete? So I'm the worst person that you can ask this question because my balisongs never see concrete, unfortunately. Whenever I'm flipping, it's over this soft carpet. It's over some other soft carpet. The hardest fall that they will ever see is like hardwood, maybe. So I can't really tell you how durable the coating is, but I can tell you that it's not just going to like shatter off, at least as far as I know from what I've seen from other people's cheeses. So you should be good to flip it in public, but just keep in mind that no coating that you put on a balisong is going to stand up 100% to concrete drops. The only thing is like just raw titanium, and even then, if you hit it hard enough, it will drop. That is something that will happen. So just keep that in mind. Compress all that. Will Ethan Blade Bias and Ethan camaroEE collab? Never seen them in the same room together. Will you see Dasuko in Georgia? Dasuko does not live in Georgia. So, no. Want to buy a Nautilus, but I'm worried that I'll pinch myself with tang pins. I mean, it's always a worry with tang pins, but the Nautilus is well... The Nautilus is well... what am I trying to say? Well designed enough that it shouldn't be an issue. How do you do the 0G chaplain? You just want to do really big circles with your hand. 0G chaplains are about creating the momentum of the balisong going this way. And the only way to really do that while still keeping it up is to go in kind of like an oval like this, where you're kind of going up and to the side. And the only way to keep that going is to kick your elbow out and really swing your arm. It's a very pronounced motion. And once you get better at it, you know, that motion will go down. But you'll see that my 0Gs with the quick little motions that I do aren't very long because it falls off your hand fairly quickly that way. So if you're trying to do like a big, long 0G, you really got to kick your arm out and start shaking it. Why do you not try tech? Because I'm not good enough for it. Has your cheese lost its tune? I heard that's a common problem. Every balisong is going to lose its tune if you don't upkeep it. My cheese isn't as tight as it once was, but that's because I've literally never tightened it with a screwdriver ever. So if I just tightened it up with a screwdriver, it would be fine again. And oil. As oil dries, your tune's going to feel a lot worse. Would you try a spacerless Orion? I technically already have. I messed around with a spacerless Orion when I was switching out the spacers on my 1.5. Somehow 0Gs are much easier on plastic balisongs for me. That's because plastic balisongs weigh less. So gravity is acting on them less, making it easier to keep that upward momentum with your finger. If I get a plastic balisong, there's no weight pulling it down. So it's less like upward momentum and more that I'm just keeping the momentum going in a circle. On a plastic balisong, there's far less of like bringing it back up to keep it up on your finger. But that is because gravity. Do you play games? If so, what ones? I do. Lately, I've been getting a little back into Rocket League. Although that game was driving me insane, so I stopped. I I stopped it and I stopped playing, and because it annoyed me. Freaking, I was gonna reload by switching to a different weapon, but that's fine. Gosh, that's the most annoying thing though, is that you are going to be seeing a lot of drops from me. Yeah, it's been a little bit of Rocket League, but mostly I'll play single player games. I'm trying to play through Pacific Drive right now. Games with friends like Peak, Valorant, stuff like that. But I'm definitely not as much of a gamer as I once was, unfortunately. You excited for the new Nibali's Cat Ballad song from I'm not even going to try to pronounce that because I will fail miserably. I can't really say I'm excited. The design looks cool, but I don't even know if it's releasing over here in the States, especially with all the shipping question marks that we have going on. I'm finding it a little bit hard to get excited for it. Did you see Will Hirsch's opinion on the Clyde or Moab? No, but I did see someone tell me that it was positive. I try not to watch other reviews. It's tough to watch Balisong content because if I watch other reviews, it might color my opinion when I do check out the Balisong. So I try and stay away from review type content unless I've already tried the Balisong. So no, I have not seen that one. Do you have a FlipForge Edit Lite? Yes. What are your thoughts on them? Check out the video. It's an old video. The Edit Lite is no longer the up-to-date thing, but all of my opinions are still the same pretty much. Got an Edit Lite, filmed the unboxing. When I tried to import it to my computer, there was a problem and ended up wiping my camera. That sucks. I don't know what happened, but it seems like it might have had you format the drive before it properly read it on the computer, and that is what you don't want to see. What's up, Justin? Do you play any instruments? I swear I've seen a guitar. You've seen a guitar, have you? That is interesting. I don't play it. That was a gift from Ty, and I keep convincing myself that I'm going to learn how, and then I will take baby steps to learning how, and then I stop. So, unfortunately, I currently don't play any instruments. In the past, I have played the trombone in school, and I am attempting to learn how to play the guitar, but I can't play anything more than a few chords. And no, I will not be playing it on stream. What are the best ways to get out of the choker fan? I can do the main motion, but getting out of it smoothly, I struggle with. Do you play Forza? No, the only cars I'm into are Hot Wheels. You can see them littered around my room. I've got a little garage here. Unfortunately, the angle of the camera isn't going to allow me to show you what's inside, but I've got a Miata. I got a Mazda. Ferrari, Corolla, Porsche, and a Shelby Cobra. But I don't play Forza. How long would it take to hit a triple scissor? Probably pretty long. I can barely even do the double scissor because it's out of my muscle memory at this point. But getting out of the choker fan, it's kind of depending on how you catch it in the first place. You can see that when I stop the choker fan, I'm kind of in this position. So I go into my choker fan and I end up like right here, which allows me to turn my hand down and actually grab the handle, in which you can do like a swing thing into a thumb rollover. You can just kind of catch it neutrally like that into a standard grip. Sometimes you can go into a palm fan. That's what I like to do a lot of the time. Choker fan. But really my main thing is grab the whole handle like that, swing it around the thumb, and then continue on as normal into a nice little thumb roll over there. Do you have any tips on Squid's choker fan? I don't know the specific way that Squid teaches it. The main way that I know two ways to choker fan. One of them is technically wrong. The wrong way is the Will Hirsch choker fan, which it's not wrong in the sense that it's not a choker fan. It's wrong in the sense of how you set it up. It's just not very useful to add into a combo. But it still will teach you like the motion of keeping the spin going, which is why I learned it originally. But my main way is obviously the fan to choker fan. I don't really well know how to do the typical choker fan where you go kind of around like that and then you go down into a choker fan. Just doesn't work very well for me, so unfortunately I don't have any tips on that. What are your opinions on good camera settings for flipping clips? As long as you can see what you're doing, as long as you have a high enough, there's not too much motion blur, it's not too dark to see anything, it's actually framed properly. I don't really care what your camera settings look like. However, you're trying to artistically express your flipping, whether it's with a bit of a darker clip, a bit of a lighter clip, a lot of motion blur, a little motion blur. People like to express themselves in different ways through that. But I really, really cannot say that any of them... I can't say that I have a strong opinion on any of them besides the clarity of what you're doing. I want to be able to see what you're doing, and I want it to be in the frame. That's really what is the most important, I say. What's your favorite live blade? My Seraph. Should try your Sasori blade on your Slift T. I saw your comment earlier. Not really looking to ruin any of my old stuff. I know you say it works, but they're not meant for each other, so there is obviously things that can go wrong there, and I just find the old Machine-wise stuff a little bit too irreplaceable to mess with stuff like that, but maybe if I ever break apart the Slift T again, I'll give it a try. I had an old Balisong recently upgraded to the Impulse. It's crazy how much you can improve for how cheap it is. It is. We are very, very well and truly in a golden age of Balisongs because beforehand, we couldn't get things like that. There weren't the Impulses and the Cheeses and the freaking Orions or the Kite ALs. It was just the crappy Amazon stuff that honestly kind of sucked. Any tips for a Zen rollover? I gotta be honest with you, it's been so long since I've learned the Zen rollover, I don't really remember what the problems that I faced were. Generating momentum, I know, is tough for a few people. Try to make sure you're generating that momentum with your wrist rather than swinging your arm this way. One of the first things that you'll see from beginner trainers, not beginner trainers, but beginner people who are training in the hobby, are their arm will move around a lot because they're trying to generate momentum at their shoulder or at their elbow rather than using your wrist. And the better that you get at Balisongs, you'll see that a lot of the momentum being generated is at the wrist rather than the elbow. So if you see me flipping, you'll see that my elbow isn't pivoting. It's moving up and down because I need to move my arms for certain tricks, but it's not swinging wildly like this or anything like that. So just make sure you're learning how to do the Zen rollover by flicking your wrist instead of doing what beginners do, which is flicking your whole arm. And then you can kind of see how that creates that kind of movement where I have to like swing my arm a little bit to get it back into frame or get it back into the place that I want it. Any tips how to better incorporate fans or chaplains into combos? It's tough. Fans are tough to implement because there's just not a very good starting point that lines up with a lot of different tricks. Chaplains, though, literally any time you're doing a rollover, chances are you can stick your finger in there and either do a 0G or a normal chaplain. So what I like to do is when I'm flipping, I'll go around like my thumb, and you'll see if I just catch it in a little bit of a different way. Obviously I'm on the bite side, but you can change it so that you're not. You just grab with your middle finger, suddenly I'm in the perfect place to do a middle finger chaplain. And then I can ricochet off of that. I can go around my pinky or something like that, and then bounce it back down, and suddenly I'm doing a pinky chaplain, which I suck at because I don't have very good mobility in my pinkies. But yeah, like, just kind of flip, thinking about sticking your finger in the spine of the blade. And you will find that a lot of the time, there's a lot of different positions. If you don't throw your Balisong against your metal desk, there's a lot of positions you can get into where your fingers will just kind of naturally be there, and you can go into a further trick. Oh, I'm going to go... Oh my goodness, it's Brandon's Balisong Corner, y'all. It's the guy himself. Christmas came early, Blade Bias is peak. No, you are peak, my friend. Chipotle or Panda Express? Chipotle. I want a CCC so badly. Why do you want a CCC? Who do you think is making the best edits right now? That's tough. There's a lot of good ones. My two goats will always be Balisong Nerd and Pyro. But there is a lot of people putting some pretty creative things out there, which is, it's very cool to see. Wing Trainer's finally supposed to come tomorrow. Nice. I hope you enjoy it. Been flipping the Squiddy Bee for 3 years. Do you have any slight handle bias metal Balisongs you recommend at the moment? Currently looking at the cheese you're flipping. Yeah, if you're looking for slight handle bias, the cheese is the place to go. The Kite AL is a little bit more handle biased. The Impulse is probably another good choice. The only other one I would say, I don't even know if these are available anymore, but the Thomas Balisong Refault, specifically the carbon fiber variants, because the carbon fiber loses a lot of weight over the G10, kind of also gives you that little bit of handle bias that you might be looking for from a Squiddy Bee. But I think the cheese is the best choice. The Orion is also a choice, but I find that to be a little bit less handle bias than the cheese. So if that's specifically what you're looking for, then obviously go elsewhere. Is it just me, or is Rev Index Finger Chap and Rev Ring Chap way harder than every other variation? No. I find Pinky Chaps to be the worst, but again, that's because I have awful mobility in my pinky unless I set it up with that aerial. Can we get a cheese sound test? Mine kind of sucks, but I mean, I guess. Yeah, this sucks. This does not have... Oh, thank you, phone. This is not tightened. This is not lubed. This thing is literally just my daily carry, so it doesn't really get a lot of special maintenance attention. But that's okay because it flips great. I don't really care how it sounds. Ethan with the Rev Cherry Picker. Yeah, now that I'm streaming and I'm not really concerned about flipping in an interesting way, I can kind of break out of my typical flipping habits that I do on Blade Bias, especially because I'm not trying to form a sentence at all times. It allows me to have a little bit of downtime to do some things that I don't normally do, although muscle memory is a powerful, powerful thing. When are you releasing the Blade Show 2023 video? Farbos, it's already out. It's on my main channel. This is like the third time you've made this joke, and it's the third time that I have to say it's literally already out. Recommend the Kraken or the Vixen Sirius? Well, the Vixen Sirius is two different videos. Farbos, the 2022 video is already out. Yeah, the Vixen Sirius doesn't exist. It's either the Vixen or the Sirius that you're looking for there. So I don't know. I don't really like the Vixen that much. What about the 2021 one? I didn't go to 2021 because I got into the hobby after. Second time you called them Pyro? Yeah, P words. They're tough. Since you had the map for so long, do you have any experience with speed stacks, cup stacking, and speed cubing? No, it is that is a little Ethan thing. That was, little Ethan went to gym class in 2nd grade and they made us cup stack, and I enjoyed it so much that I asked for a set for my birthday. And I did it for a few months. I didn't get good at it. I had a timer. I do not remember what my time was. Again, this is years and years and years ago. And then as I was transitioning into having a desk and everything, I heard about desk pads. I thought they were sick. And then I saw someone, I think it was online somewhere. I forget exactly where I saw it. They recommended using a cup stacking mat as a desk mat. So I went into the closet, I dug out my old set, and I used the cup stacking mat, sent it into the ground. I now have the admittedly dirty Linus Tech Tips just clean desk mat, and I love it. It's great, but that old cup stacking mat was literally fused to my desk from years of like slightly moving it so much that the friction had worn it down and stuck it to the desk. So like it was destroyed. I had to throw it out. Any tips for backhand fan? Backhand fans are really tough for me. It just kind of clicked one day. So just keep at it. I can't really give you anything other than that. When are you going to release it? 2 years ago. The 2022 video? 2 years ago. I meant both separate. Do you recommend the Kraken, the Vixen, or the Sirius? I don't like the Vixen. Not a huge fan of the Sirius. The Kraken's my favorite of those three, but they're all good ballast songs. The other thing is you're looking in completely different price points. So maybe narrow down how much money you want to spend, and then your answer will reveal itself. When are you releasing the 2077 Blade Show video? Wake the fuck up, Samurai. Actually meant to say, wake the fuck up, Ballast Song Flipper. We've got a Blade Show to burn. Hello, Pyro. There's the real Pyro. Ow, my foot. Just got the Vault Pro. Is there anything I need to know or any tips? Bro, just flip. What? I kept calling Farbos Pyro because P words confuse me, I guess. Parbus, true. Have you flipped a Wolf Designs Omen yet? If I have, I don't remember. There's a lot of things that people will hand me at Blade Show, and then I'll be like, I have no idea what that thing was, because I'll forget about it for a little bit. Maybe, probably, I don't know. If I saw it, I would have a better memory. I'm a huge supporter. Do you have any... I'm a huge Pride supporter. I'm sorry. I'm apparently stupid. Do you have any theories as to why there's such a huge crossover with the ballast song community? Ballast songs are a big fidget toy. I think a lot of the time that you have something with fidgetability, even Transformers is kind of the same thing, because you can fidget with those toys as you play with them. Any hobby that allows you to do something with your hands, I think has a crossover with the LGBTQ community, because you'll find a lot of neurodivergent people who identify with those things, and then they will also gravitate towards things that they can do with their hands. So I think the fidgetability of a hobby kind of inherently will attract a lot of those types of people, which is very cool, but maybe not the best considering how many more stuck in the old ways people can exist within a knife-based hobby. So it's definitely a clash for sure. Special podcast episode when? I can't say specifically when. I just can tell you that there will most likely be one eventually. Ethan, can you hit FBR? No. I'm not going to murder the president. That was a stupid... FBR. FBR is not even close to JFK, and I don't even think... Just forget that I said anything. Should I get the Squiddy Bee even though I like heavy knives? No. Hey, I prefer heavy knives. Should I get the lightest knife? One of the lightest knives out there? No. Probably not. Are there any new best in class behind MachineWise? In terms of fit and finish, no. In terms of like what they're doing for the community, I would almost say that Nabali's is a new first in class just because of how much they are releasing and how much of the hobby is being carried on their back right now. LDY as well, with a lot of releases lately. But in my opinion, only Squid comes close to the fit and finish of MachineWise, and that actually EPS. I'd put EPS on that list as well. EPS and Squid are close to the level of fit and finish that MachineWise has, but MachineWise will always be a cut above in my opinion. Do you know how many Bally's are selling for a brand like Nabali's. I don't know what you mean by that. What are you flipping right now? Well, fellow Ethan, I'm flipping the Nabali's cheese. Been out of the game, Bally game for at least a year. I don't know what new growls are in the market. Growls are kind of under. There's a lot less growls now than there were a few years ago. Mostly because people like Fellowship have kind of dropped out of making ballad songs. You've got the Seraph, you've got the Tsunami, you've got a few like niche, low production run people that are out there. But as far as like specific mass-produced growls, I don't really know. I'm not sure. It's a good question. Can you do the ballad song? No, I can't, Pyro. Turn on donations so I can get 25 extra XP and become #1. No. The only money I will never take any money from you. I shouldn't say never, but at the current point, my goal is to not take any money from you, except through ads on YouTube. If I cut a sandwich in half, do I have 2 halves of a sandwich or 2 sandwiches? Don't start this. You have 2 halves of a sandwich. Sandwich is made out of a single piece of bread. If you separate the bread in 2, you don't magically have 2 pieces of bread. You have half of the original piece of bread. I was able to get a Gaboon from Fellowship prior to him leaving. That's great. Gaboon's pretty cool. I don't know if I would call that a Grail. That's kind of in like the $400 price point, if I'm remembering correctly. Which I wouldn't call Grail. I would call Grail like 500 or above. Unless you're talking about like what you personally are chasing after as a Grail. I'm going to switch over to the Shattered. The Shattered video I need to record, and I'll probably record it tomorrow and then send it out later this week. I am also going to take off my camera here. We're still at half battery. Wow. I imagine that won't be the case for much longer. Because as soon as I put it on my head, it's probably going to drop into the red without me knowing. What do we got? What do we got? The Gaboon wasn't my favorite, but I do admit it's a pretty good ballad song. Material-wise, it's a Grail. I have a hard time saying that. I mean, did it have D2 steel? I don't remember. Not D2, sorry. It had S35 VN steel. I don't remember. I don't think it did. If it did, then sure, it's Grail level. You mentioned the Grail would likely cost $500. Does that mean the BM Necron... Does that make the Benchmade Necron a Grail? Yeah, by price... Like... Defining Grail as like the high-priced price point, then yes, technically that would make the Necron a Grail in how I'm defining it. Making chicken noodle soup. Do you want some? No, I have leftover barbecue upstairs. I'm going to go have that after this stream is over. Magna Cut. That's what it is. Yeah. It's Grail level materials for a not Grail price. That's what I would say. Because there's 2 definitions of Grails. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, Grail can either be defined as a highly expensive item. Usually what I would say is 500 or above, like I said. Just because that kind of gets into the territory of Tsunamis and Seraphs and all of that. And that's what a lot of people would consider a Grail. But you also have your personal Grail, which is the thing that you as a collector are personally chasing. So someone could say, my Grail currently is a Kraken because they're new to the hobby and that's what they really, really want. I'm specifically saying Grail as in a higher price point definition. So technically, yes, the BM Necron would be a Grail. Calling something a Grail and knowing what that means for a ballad song is a sign of how deep one has gotten into it, which is pretty deep, true. But Grail is not a ballad song specific term. You can have a Grail in any collection-based hobby, really, or any hobby, period. There's Pokemon card Grails. Again, in the sense of personal... We really need to come up with a different name for, like, higher price ballad songs, but... It could just mean other items are overpriced. No, that is not the case. There are... I mean, clearly when you flip and look at the Gaboon, you can see there are corners cut with the level of material in that knife. It's a physically smaller knife in order to bring that price down. And I wouldn't even be surprised if Grant lost a bit of money on the Gaboon. EPS is cooking. EPS is cooking for real. Will you be making more bonus bias videos in the future? I enjoy watching you yap about random stuff rather than the usual Balisong content. Yeah, I mean, it's always in the book. It's always in the plans to make a bonus bias video. I just need something to come up that really inspires me. There's a few purchases that I'm making now that I'm done with school, kind of as like gifts to myself that I might do a bonus bias on. And there's a few subjects I could make bonus biases on, a few albums that I want to make bonus biases on. So it's always the plan to make more. It just depends when I really have the creative energy and the time to do it. What's up, Austin? Bushing-based lightning is also worth a look. True. That is something that might, depending, I've never even tried an original lightning. I mean, I have, but it's been a while. So that could really be something that becomes my go-to recommendation over the Impulse. We'll see. The Buffness G10 Kraken handles. Thoughts? Same thoughts as I've always had on Kraken rehandles. Picking the Kraken as a Balisong to rehandle is, I don't want to say it's a folly, but I think it's a bit misguided, because you take something like the rep and you make infinite rehandles because people don't like the stock rep, but everyone loves the original Kraken. So changing it in some way is only really making room for you to disappoint people who were expecting that original balance point and who wanted that level of quality and balance that the original Kraken provides, which I have personally never flipped a Kraken rehandle, including from Squid themselves, that even meets the same level that Squid has set with the original aluminum Kraken. Any LDY codes for a discount? Typically not, no. There might be affiliate codes, but I think LDY affiliate codes only provide the YouTuber who gives it to you with a cut. I could be wrong. I personally don't have an affiliate code with anyone, so I can't say for sure. But affiliate code would be the best bet. Otherwise, no. Just don't think about it as a Kraken. Think about it as a totally different Balisong. But I can't do that because in order to use this Balisong, I have to give up my Kraken. That's the problem with rehandles, is you're not getting a new Balisong that I can think of. It's not like I'm using the Shattered and I have the Impulse. I can still flip both whenever I want. In order to try the rehandle, I have to give up my Kraken. And a lot of the times, it's just not worth making that trade to me. Loving your stream. Looking forward to more in the future. Thank you, Arian. You should check out my... Sorry, my brain just ran into a wall. You should check out my main channel where I do more streams like this. Not in this format. Also, yes, I am here, Ethan. I know... Oh, not me. Sorry, Brandon. I was like, I've talked to you, Brandon. Wing false live blade or Hydra false live blade? I prefer the wing. Shattered rocks? True, the Shattered does rock. Is the Shattered V1 growing on you? I've been considering it for a little while now. It's not growing on me. It actually remains mostly what I said it was in the first impressions video. It remains a Machine-Wise-esque Balisong that I really enjoy flipping. What's your main channel called? camaroEE. It's linked in every description of every video that is on this channel. Good night. Sorry, parents heading to bed up there. What are we... There's a question I was looking at. Oh, hello, I'm from Argentina. I'm going to buy the Bally of my dreams, the 1 Alpha Beast. And I would also like it to be the only one. Do you think it's okay? That's a clone. I have no experience with any clones, so I unfortunately can't help you there. But I hope you succeed in finding the ballad song of your dreams. Were you in school when getting into the hobby, and if so, did you ever bring it? No, I got into the hobby around. It was a few months after I graduated high school, because I got into the hobby in August 2021. I graduated high school in June of 2021. I was into it when I was in college, but a college campus is a very different thing from a high school. Don't bring your ballad songs to high school. I have only seen people say that it got them in trouble or it got it taken away or something like that. So I can never recommend that you do that. How do you do your extended Z choker? I can never get the momentum to follow through and open smoothly. I'm not sure what you mean by my extended Z choker. The Z choker that I do is just a perfectly normal one that I just failed at. There's nothing really extended about the way that I do my Z chokers. Most underrated / overlooked bally in your opinion? Dude, I don't even know. Underrated and overlooked bally. Probably the Corvus. I think the Corvus ended up being pretty underrated. Forgive my case, it is still a mess from Blade Show. Yeah, most of the ballad songs in my collection I wouldn't say are underrated. Because I've got a lot of popular things, like the Orion, or the Squiddy AL, or the Glider Arctic, which was popular at one point. The Barracuda, the Vulp, things like that. I'd probably have to say it was the Corvus. Because the Corvus just didn't get a lot of love because of the release schedule because of the release that it had from LDY. How did you meet Ty? Ty and I were friends since before either of us could form memories. I just had my grad party from college, and on it was a board of, Ethan through the years, as is tradition for a graduation party like that. Pictures from all throughout my life, and there is a picture on that board of me and Ty together as children who are probably no older than maybe 1 or 2, like crawling age. So before we were even able to form conscious memory, we were at least acquainted with each other as much as a child can be acquainted with another child. But that is because his mother was a friend of my aunt's because they were next door neighbors. So there really isn't there is and there isn't a special story behind me and Ty meeting, because the circumstances are special in and of themselves, but it's not one specific point. It was just kind of a familiarity from the kid who got brought over to family functions a lot of the time. Astra is underrated. The Astra is underrated. I just don't think it's... Yeah, I guess it's not underrated more than it's overlooked. I think it got properly rated by the people who did see it and did talk about it, but not a lot of people saw or talked about it. New Era Sunshine. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I got to try one at Blade Show. It was fine. It was another aluminum ballad song that didn't really do anything too crazy to me. But definitely, I do agree with you. It's overlooked. Isn't Ty related to Dasuko? Not at all. Nope. I don't know where that came from in any way, shape, or form. Do you mind player tap? No, I don't really care. Tap is a problem because tap is indicative of damage that you're doing to your ballad song. So if your ballad song taps, it means that the blade is impacting the inside of this channel here, which means that every time I close it and open it, there's a chance that the blade will scrape into the side of the handles, which can damage either the blade, especially on a live blade, that can really mess up your sharpen, or your sharp edge, I should say. But in any other ballad song, you're chipping the anodization, or you're scraping down the channel, or you're just messing it up in a multitude of ways. So tap, I prefer not to have, unless it's tap that doesn't actually induce blade rub, but a lot of the time tap is blade rub. Play, on the other hand, I don't care. I literally don't care how much play is in a ballad song as long as it doesn't tap. Is it possible to chaplain with a shitty sandwich Amazon knife? It's possible to chaplain anything as long as it's balanced correctly. So I can't tell you, because I don't know, I've never tried it. I can't tell you if it's balanced properly, but I was going to say it's hard to make a ballad song that can't chaplain, but that is just not true. Saw a Kraken on eBay for $56. Thought, what a deal. Turns out it was a clone. If it looks too good to be true, probably because it is. What is your favorite combo to go for in general, like on any ballad song? The combo that I always do. Whip rollover into 0G. Into another whip rollover. It's the tried and true classic, or the fan to choker fan. I know those aren't like extended combos, but still things that I enjoy doing. Cheese versus Refault versus Orion 1.5. Which one would you consider feels the best to flip? My favorite of those three is the Cheese, but your mileage will vary. They're all very good. Is it weird that I find rev chaps easier than regular chaps? No. Rev chaps, it's just what you're used to. If you started out with rev chaps, they're going to feel easier. You can see I swing my arm a lot more because I'm not used to doing rev chaps as much. Is the palette still your favorite plastic ballad song? I know I've seen a few pretty cool polymer ones recently. I'd say the palette is still one of my favorite, but my favorite, the palette's still my favorite flipping, but my favorite plastic ballad song is probably Zippy's Cycloids. They're just so much fun. But the palette, I cannot deny, flips incredibly, and in my opinion is definitely the best balanced plastic ballad song. It's just weighty and dense and carries momentum. It flips excellently. But FlipForge doesn't ship to the US anymore because of ongoing gestures to everything. So unfortunately, he's not really something I can recommend at the moment to my fellow Americans. Another extremely into ballad songs indicator, knowing and comprehending what a rev chap is. I'm gonna push back on that a little bit. I don't think that's extremely into, more than it's just some terminology that you learn as you get into it. You have to be into it to understand, but I don't think that's like an extremely into it indicator. It's like saying knowing that a kraken is a crackerakin. I'd put that kind of on the same level. What's up, William? Glad I got my palette in the US just in time. I'm happy for you, dude. What's your favorite plastic ballad song besides the palette? Zippy Cycloid. I got the edit light just in time also. Nice. FlipForge not selling to the US was so tragic to find out about. I waited too long to figure out a color scheme. I'm hoping he'll be able to come back in due time. If gestures wildly at everything calms down, then yeah, he'll be back. But unfortunately, global situations with foreign mail carriers, foreign to the US at least, prevent him from doing so. If he wanted to, I am sure he would. Or if he was capable, I shouldn't say if he wanted to. If he was capable of, I'm sure he would continue sending to the US. What's your favorite all-time video game? And if you're still gaming, what are you playing at the moment? Message retracted. Okay. Risk of Rain 2 is my favorite game of all time. What I'm playing at the moment, Peak, Valorant with friends. and a little bit of Rocket League, but I actually just uninstalled Rocket League last night because it has gotten just unfathomably toxic. I cannot play a game without my teammate getting mad at me because I missed a ball and then going AFK for the rest of the game. It's just impossible to play that game in any serious indication. I'm saying that you can do a chaplain, can do a reverse chaplain, know what a rev chap abbreviation is, quite a specific multi-layer understanding of a thing. I see. In that case, yeah. Yeah. Pallet blade snapped last week. Now I'm sad I can't get a new one. Yeah, that sucks. If you had to pick a single trick to review a ballad song, what would it be? Now that is a fascinating question. If I could only do one trick to evaluate a ballad song, what would it be? Wow. Probably. I love questions like this. I love questions like this that actually make me stop and think because they're genuinely fascinating. Zero G Chaplain. I think it would be, if I could only do one trick with a ballad song, a zero G Chaplain would tell me enough that I would be able to make a video about it. Because the zero G Chaplain is going to tell you a few things. It's going to tell you if it's good at chaplains. It's going to tell you if it carries momentum well enough. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. So it's going to tell you how it chaplains, because inherently, if you can chaplain a ballad song, you can zero G a ballad song. It's going to tell you everything, not everything, but wow, most things that you need to know about how it carries momentum. And it's going to let you know what the kind of balance is. It's going to give you comfort, because if you have like a sharp channel or a sharp spine of the blade, you will feel that. I think it would be a zero G Chaplain. I think really, at its most basic thing, the two things that I use to evaluate, are we getting back to my voice cracking? Seriously. The two things that I use to evaluate a ballad song are a zero G and a fan, because there's two kind of classes of tricks that each side of the balance spectrum will help you with: fans and zero Gs, fans and rollovers. And a chaplain is kind of lofted in with rollovers because your ballad song is rolling over your finger and allows you to kind of evaluate a lot of the momentum properties, the balance point, weight distribution, stuff like that. So I would say fans being a little bit less important than rollover-based tricks in the context of ballad songs, I would say zero G Chaplain. I would also say a normal chaplain, but the thing with the zero G Chaplain is that you're going to feel a lot more of if a ballad song can't maintain the momentum to stay on your finger. Because sometimes when a ballad song chaplains well, it doesn't zero G well because it's a different set of things that are required from the momentum and the weight distribution that might hide when you do an actual chaplain. What's your favorite type of trick? Fans, rollovers, chaplains, ladders, twirls, or aerials? I'm a fan guy. I love my fans. Not as much of a fan guy as cream soda. Shout out cream soda, but I love fans. What advice do you have for someone flipping a live blade for the first time? I got an Orion S today, and I'm shitting myself every time I touch it. Ironically, my advice has to do exactly with what you're struggling with. To flip a live blade ballad song, you have to be confident flipping a trainer. Because if you can flip a trainer properly, you don't touch the bite side, you make sure that you stay away from that side of the blade, the more confident that you are flipping a trainer, the more confident you will be flipping a live blade inherently, because it's not any different. The main difference between flipping a trainer and flipping a live blade, if you have the skills to properly flip a trainer, the difference is mentality. You're scared of the live blade. So as long as you go into it with confidence, knowing that you can flip, while still trying to walk the line of not being so scared of the knife that you psych yourself out and you mess up, but you also can't be so confident that you aren't afraid of the blade at all and you end up cutting yourself because you don't respect it. So you need to find this line where you're confident enough to do the tricks, but you still respect the live blade enough to not mess up while you're flipping. To not get got by flipping it, if you will. You ever tried any NRB valleys? Yes, I've made many videos on NRB valleys. There was the Vortex, which was a review on my main channel that got taken down. Thank you, YouTube, for thinking that I'm under the age of 18 when I've never uploaded a balisong video when I was under the age of 18. I think the Vortex might have gotten a blade bias video, but I might have sold it before blade bias ever existed. So, but I've done many, many videos on the NRB Nemesis. I also have done a video on the NRB. Have I done one? I haven't done one on the ultralight. Have I done one on the slight? I feel like I have, but maybe I haven't. I've done a few NRB videos. I think there was also, I also tried the Vortex prototype, or no, I have done a Vortex video because Ted lent me one. So I've done a few. Blah, 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 blah. Can you go over the swivel concept? Yeah, I'm not familiar with what a swivel is. Do you think Mako Harpoon would be a good first live blade? I've been looking at them but haven't pulled the trigger. Maybe not. It has a huge tip that sticks out that might catch you in ways that you're not expecting. But if you like the look of the Harpoon, go for it. I don't really think there's like a bad live blade to get into flipping a live blade with. Building muscle memory for the confidence for transition to the live. That is also a big thing. The problem is if you don't respect the blade, then you'll just go into it and you'll realize that maybe the trainer blade has been touching you in places that you didn't realize, that your muscle memory is going to transition over to the live blade. So it's best to start out a little scared of the blade so that you go slow, just to make sure that your technique is actually proper before you start full sending with your muscle memory. Have a canyon. Should I get a Vulp or ball out and a little harder and get the cheese? I would say Vulp is speaking to me because of the bottle opener. If the Vulp is speaking to you, go for it. But I would say the cheese is the ultimately better balisong, at least in my opinion. Haven't got any more questions. Just want to say I love watching Blade Bias. Since 2 years ago, I've been looking forward to the videos every other day. I hope you never stop making them. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you've been enjoying them, and I will do my best to keep making them. It's an ebb and a flow, but I'll do my best to keep it going for you. Problem with trainers, you can develop dangerous muscle memory. Exactly. Like mindlessly catching a falling knife. Want to get a new trainer and begin between an LDY Sirius V4.5 or a Kraken. I was also thinking about a Squiddy AL. I just sat on that a little bit. Whoops. Any thoughts on what you would recommend? Those are very different price points. I think narrow down how much you want to spend, and then the answer will be revealed to you. Can I flip without oiling my bally? You technically can, but it will damage it in the long term because there will be more friction between parts. So if you're using it a lot without oil, don't complain when the tune doesn't get as well or it's not as tight as it used to be. Also, if you have stainless steel washers, make sure you're lubing your balisong because then that will actually create problems that you just don't want to deal with. So as long as you have phosphorus bronze, you should be okay. Got any tips for underhand helix aerials? No, because I can't even really do an underhand helix aerial myself. I can kind of do it. Best Bally Lube? I'm Carbon Honey. Have you had a chance to try the regime? I did. It was fine. Wasn't anything crazy. Not a lot of weight in the ends of the handles, so not a lot of momentum there. Any good tips on the pivot ladder? I don't know what a pivot ladder is. I'm sorry. You think a false edge live blade is a good tool for transitioning to an actual live blade? Yeah, but it's kind of the same thing as anything that doesn't cut you is always going to be separate from something that does cut you. So at that point, whether you're using a live blade or a false live blade, it's basically the same thing as having a balisong with some sort of indicator on the blade. So it's a little bit better simply because, you know, it's the whole blade that has the bite indicator, but it's always going to be separate from something that can actually cut you at that point. Love your channel. I think you do the most objective and reliable reviews. Whenever I want to know if I should buy a balisong, I always come to you. Keep it up, man. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. I still maintain that I don't do reviews on this channel, but I know what you mean, and I appreciate you. Thank you for the kind words. How did you get the half black and half red machete on the palette? That was sent to me by FlipForge like that. I didn't customize it. Him and I worked together to design this, which I designed after one of my mascots on my main channel. But the red and black one he just sent me so that I could try out a different blade type. I was wondering if what I should upgrade to. I've had my Vault for 2 years and it's quite scuffed up. Anything you want, really. If you have a Vault, you've kind of already tried out. If you're looking to upgrade, you should get something over $100. If you're looking just to get something new, check out some of the Vulp's brothers, the Cheese, Orion, Kite AL, stuff like that, in that same price range. Cool channel called camaroEE. He mostly streams and talks about balisongs. You sound exactly like him. No idea who that is. Smokey, I live in... no idea that the edit light was pinsless. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Hey Ethan, I'm sending custom ballet songs to big ballet YouTubers. You interested? I'd happily send you one to do a video on. Love your reviews, are very informative. Thank you, dude. I'm gonna need you to reach out to me in some other... Oh, Ballet Song Traveler. I'm sorry, I didn't read your name. I'm gonna need you to reach out to me in some other form than a YouTube chat. But the answer is most likely going to be no. Because I do not like giving out my address just to random people. I appreciate the offer, though. It's very kind of you. Have a Seraph coming this week. Looking forward to it based on all your high praise. The Seraph is amazing. And if you don't like it, then you have a really expensive balisong that you can sell and get something else that's pretty expensive. So it's kind of a win-win. What other unique aspects / gimmicks would you want to see future balisong makers explore? I've said it before, I'll say it again. The customizable toolless weight system of the Zippy Cycloid is something that I want to see brought to more balisongs. Absolutely. That is such a freaking cool system. Should I get the Bird of Prey? Wanted a balisong that price range, what would it be? The Bird of Prey, you're paying a lot for the engineering of it. I don't really think it competes with some other balisongs in its price point, like the Vault Pro or the Wing, specifically from Nibali's. Also other things like the BB Barfly Barracuda. So I would look into other options on the Bird of Prey, unless you're specifically looking to get a slice of that engineering, in which case, run it, dude. Makes sense. All cool, bro. Just thought I'd ask. Again, reach out to me in some form that isn't in a YouTube chat, and we can... Sorry, my camera started shaking. I think we're good. Yeah, best way to reach out to me is not in a YouTube chat, but yeah, thank you again for the offer. Is the best trainer if you're just now getting into the hobby? The Impulse is my current recommendation to anyone who doesn't have a balisong. All right, I'm going to give chat a rest really quick. I just need to check the battery on my camera. All right, we are approaching the time to probably end this thing. Man, I'm having a good time answering questions, but it has been an hour and 15 minutes somehow. This flew by. Let's go real fast on some of the questions that I have missed here in the past little bit. Do you think the zippy Prismablade inserts change anything? Not a ton, but a little bit. So if you're sensitive to balance changes, then you'll notice a little bit of a difference. Thanks for doing what you have and are doing. Been one of my favorite channels in the hobby since I discovered you and Ty at the time, including getting back into it recently. Thank you, Bean. I appreciate it. I'm glad to have you back in the hobby. Should try to do a review of a Balisong just doing the 0G Chaplain. I will put that down in the ideas list. Maybe we'll look into that. Also, I think my camera is starting to shake more because it's losing the battery power to keep the gimbal stable. Stop. Sorry about that. Bird of Prey's end of life. You're running out of time to get one. True. That's very true. Squid and Abalis usually do free shipping, but do you know of any other companies that do? It's a very tough thing. No, hold on. My camera is getting increasingly upset at me that I haven't. It's running low on battery. I'm going to try taking off